What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video we're making another Tekken 8 tier list. That's right, boys and girls, it's tier list time. I know it's y'all favorite time of the day, week, month, whatever. I've been making a lot of Tekken 8 tier lists. I actually had a different video idea in mind, a different tier list idea in mind, but it was a lot more provocative, let's just say. Definitely would have got the comments a little riled up and going, and I was like, you know, I want to do something that's like more positive, I guess. Even though I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but this is subjective and it's just based on my own personal opinion. But today we're going to be ranking the characters based on how fun I think they are to watch at a very high or very competitive level. So this is in tournament, whether that's online, offline, or just in the hands of somebody who's truly mastered that character, how hype or how fun I think they are to watch get played at that level. So, like I said, this is my own personal opinion. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to disagree with this, and if you do, feel free to leave your own list in the comment section down below, or even tweet out your own tier list at me, you know, on Twitter at LotusAsakura. My ad's always on screen. It's also always in the description down below. But yeah, let me go ahead and, you know, rename these tiers, and then we'll go ahead and get it popping. So we'll go ahead and call this top tier Hype AF. Next tier, we can go ahead and call that one Pretty Sick, I suppose. Then we'll say Cool, Meh, and then we'll just go Boring, and that'll be our tiers. So we're gonna go ahead and list these characters just in the order that they are listed here on the roster. So first of all, we have Jack, and I'm not gonna lie, Jack is really boring. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Okay, I've followed Anakin's career for years now. You know what I'm saying? I've Joey Fury, I believe Naroma also played Jack a lot back in Tekken 7. I like watching basically every character when it's played at the absolute highest level. But if we're talking about the absolute highest level, Jack is still going to go in the boring tier, because compared to all of the other characters in Tekken, I just think he's just really not that hyper exciting or all that interesting. You may feel differently about that. I just kind of consider him a snooze fest. I know a lot of people do feel this way because, oh, Saint, how did I not say Saint? Did I leave out Saint for a second? All throughout Tekken 7, we saw a lot of Saint and JDCR in grand finals, especially early on, right? And it was just Jack and Dragunov over and over again. And I know I saw a lot of resident sleepers in the Twitch chats during that time. Next, we have Jin, who I'm going to go ahead and put in the Pretty Sick tier. Jin is a character I like watching quite a lot. He's not among like my absolute favorites to see at the highest level. Or maybe he is. We might do some rearranging as we go out throughout this. But Jin, I think, is a really, really sick character. Then we have June, who I'm going to go ahead and put in the cool tier. June is a character that I haven't seen a whole lot competitively or at a super, super high level, because obviously she hasn't been in the game for a very long time. The last time that she was in the game, was she? I assume she was in Tag 2, right? Because every character was, but I didn't really see a lot of June players, and I hadn't followed Tag 2 like, you know what I'm saying, as closely as I followed 7. Like, I've gone back and watched a lot of it, but I don't really remember seeing any June players, and obviously she wasn't in many games before that, and she wasn't in 7. So I've seen her in Tekken 8. I know Arslan Ash is currently in North America running the gauntlet, a lot of players. I'm not sure what he's doing here, undisclosed reasons, but you know what I'm saying, maybe we'll find out in due time. But he's been practicing a lot against NA, and he's playing a lot of June, and June is, I think, a really cool character for me to watch. I enjoy it. Maybe you guys don't, but I think she's pretty cool. Then we have Kazuya, and for as much flack as I give Kazuya players, I think Kazuya himself is actually a really cool character. Mishimas are hype. Mishimas are pretty hype. There are some characters that I enjoy more, but I am definitely a fan of watching high level Mishima gameplay, seeing the wave dashing and the electrics and everything. It's pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. I 110% understand the appeal of Mishimas. I just kind of hate the insane ego and superiority complex that a lot of Mishima players get, especially because the ones who feel that way typically aren't really that good. They just have worked on their execution and aren't really all that great at Tekken, but that's neither here nor there. Then we have King, okay? And I know people feel very strongly about King in Tekken 8, being that this character is very easy, very strong, and kind of reigns terror on not just the low rank players and the mid-level players, but kind of everybody. King has been he's been putting in work since the start of this game, has continued to put in work, and while we haven't really seen him win a ton of events since Tekken 8 has come out, he's definitely still making his face shown in plenty of these online top 8s. And like I said, we got offline events coming up soon that I'm expecting to see some King here or there. But I mean, everybody remembers that historic little Majin run at Evo, that match against JDCR. I mean, no matter how you feel about King, that shit was pretty hype. And I already liked King a lot anyway. He's not a character that I enjoy playing a ton. I mean, he's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't mind learning him, but never been a character that I main, but a character I've always enjoyed watching. Then we have Lars, who I don't even know if boring is necessarily the most appropriate. You know, I think what we got to do here, because I wouldn't describe Lars as boring. He's just corny beyond all belief. I just think, you know, I'm not even gonna go in on Lars right now. He's really just not worth my energy. He's really just not worth my energy. Then we have Law, who I'd say Law is pretty cool. You know, seeing some high level Law can be really interesting. I enjoy watching like Rip play the character. We have Mangja as well. I know Lohai played some Law here or there. Lohai also used to play some Lars. I'd much rather see the Law than the Lars, and I honestly rather see the Law than Shaheen. But Lohai also has some other characters up his sleeve we're gonna talk about later that I enjoy watching much more. And then we have Paul, who, like, I watched a lot of Paul in Tekken 7 because at the start Anakin would play him sometimes. I think Joey Fury played him a little bit if I'm not mistaken, but Nee played a lot of Paul throughout his career in Tekken 7, and it was cool. You know what I'm saying? It was alright. Maybe I like these characters more than I like Paul. Paul's just not a particularly interesting character, but it was more so just because like it's Nee, and Nee's just nasty with him. Like I definitely enjoy it more than like Jack or, you know, a couple other characters we're gonna throw down there in the boring tier. But not quite as much as I would enjoy like seeing like June or Law. So that's where he goes. Then we have Nina, who I don't like as a character, okay? And you're gonna see this is gonna be the case with a few characters, but I don't like fighting Nina. And like, Nina's interesting because she's a character that is kind of rare and you don't really see a whole lot. She's maybe a little bit more popular in 7, or excuse me, in 8 than she was in 7 because she's really strong right now in 8, in my opinion. But you have players like Jod and Victim of Ritual who are kind of putting her on the map. And then you have a couple of other players who have been picking her up, like I believe Moy Il out in Korea, I believe, is playing her. I think I saw that in the ATL, the Africa Tekken League. That's Africa, not Africa, like the continent. Yeah, I hate the way she moves. Like I hate her, like her movement and stuff when you're like sidestepping and like squirming all over the place. I actually find it really obnoxious and annoying. Like I can't stand looking at her. But everything else that she does, I think is pretty interesting. I hate fighting her, but I don't mind watching her. I'm gonna leave her in the cool tier just because there is some stuff that is impressive to see her do, and because she's such a rare character, it kind of was exciting to see her. But yeah, other than like how glitchy her movement looks, I actually enjoy watching the character. But that one aspect of her is why I can't put her in like anything above. I damn near want to pull her down to meh. Honestly, yeah, no, I'm gonna put her in meh. I'm gonna put her in meh because, like I said, like I can appreciate the difficulty and the execution that goes into some of that character, and like because she's so rare, she's kind of a treat at times. But like I really hate the way she moves around, bro. But that's just me. Like I said, and this is my list. You know what I'm saying? I can nitpick or be as trivial as I want because this is my list, and you can do the same for yours. You know what I'm saying? Then we have Xiaoyu, who I think is actually pretty sick. I really like Xiaoyu as a character, quite a lot actually. I wouldn't even mind learning her and playing her for myself. I think she's a really cool character. I think she's really fun to watch, and she's also, even though she's usually considered pretty good and she's considered really strong right now in Tekken 8, she's still not very popular. She's actually very low in the popularity rankings every time we look at like the rank distribution stats and all the information that's gathered by the not quite factual that user on Reddit, which I recently covered in a video. If you haven't checked it out, it'll probably be linked in the description, or if not in the description, at the very least it'll be as a card at the end of this video. But yeah, I like Xiaoyu a lot. I think she's really cool. She's obviously pretty unique to a lot of, well, I'd say Tekken 8 is probably the most homogenous that Tekken has ever been, where a lot of characters share a lot of similarities and like a lot of characters share different tools and things like that. That wasn't necessarily always the case. But with that being said, you know, between like the AOP stuff and the mix-ups and everything, like I like mix-up characters. I like stance characters, and Xiaoyu's a really cool one, and she's pretty cute to boot. So we've got that. Then we have Asuka, who I would say is pretty cool. Yeah, I used to be a big Asuka fan. I mained Asuka for a little bit in Tekken 7, so I really enjoyed watching players like Fergus and like Diamondback. Those were two of my goats at the time, right? Matter of fact, I haven't seen Diamondback in quite some time. I don't know if he still plays Tekken or if he's still competing, but it's been a while. I know Fergus is obviously still alive and well and competing and is playing Asuka in June, but mainly leaning toward Asuka. You've got faces like King Ray Jr., who's been around for a while, but is finally coming into his own as like a really, really strong player who's placing highly in these online events and has gotten a couple placements offline as well. And I'm sure will be continuing to place well and do well. But I definitely enjoy some Asuka gameplay. Not a character that I love fighting a lot, just because, you know, it's interesting that I feel like Namco designed a very defensive character with Asuka, and yet the majority of the Asuka players I fight are some of the biggest gorillas I've encountered in fighting games. It's really interesting how they're so aggressive with such a defensive character. But maybe I'm just mistyping her just because she has like parries and stuff like that. But like between the back three and the parry and everything, I don't know. Maybe she's not as defensive as I think. She's kind of a gorilla. Then we have Leroy, who, you know, it's not even just because that, like, you know, I'm soured by Leroy Japan, you know, like that whole fiasco, because I wasn't even really playing Tekken 7 that much when Leroy came out, if at all, and so I wasn't really affected a whole lot by it outside of my viewing experience of some of those events. I just don't think Leroy's all that hype. Like he's pretty cool. Like I ain't mad at it. I find him inoffensive, but you know, I like him more than Jack. But That's about it. Then we have Lily, who I would say is I don't mind watching Lily. Maybe I throw her in cool. I might be able to throw her in cool because I think I like her more than these 3 characters I have down here. One thing I'll definitely never forget is seeing Nee pull out Lily against Kudons in that grand finals and winning. And it didn't work out the second time, but I forget which tournament that was. But Nee definitely used Lily to counterpick Kudons' Devil Jin because the sidestep is so powerful, right? And obviously, being able to sidestep to the left is already, or sidestepping to the left is already a powerful strategy used against Mishimas when you're playing a character that has the best sidestep in the game, which is still the case today in Tekken 8. Obviously, I noticed I'm referencing Tekken 7 a lot, even though this is really about Tekken 8, but we only have so much to go off of so far when it comes to Tekken 8. But I have been enjoying watching Lily. I know obviously FDX is playing the character a lot. That might end up being his main. It's between her and Steve, and I enjoy watching his stream a lot. It helps out that he's a really entertaining personality who creates some very good content. And I haven't seen a ton of other Lily players, but I kind of like her. I kind of like her whole aesthetic. I like her moveset. I played her a little bit myself in 7, so she's a cool character that I don't mind. And then we have my boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I know y'all gonna disagree with this one. A lot of y'all not gonna like this one. Matter of fact, as you know, it's funny. Right now, as I'm recording this video, up on my other monitor, my 3rd monitor, I remember I mentioned earlier that Arslan Ash is here in America right now, right? He's on High Tone stream, right? And you wouldn't believe who he's playing. Yeah, he's he's playing Hwoarang. He's playing Hwoarang in ranked. He's on like a 30-something game win streak, which it's Arslan Ash. He could do that with any character if he started from the beginning. But yeah, so that's up on my other monitor because I gotta come on. First of all, Arslan's the GOAT. Okay, I've been watching him while he's been on this stream these last few days. But also like I will tune into damn near anybody playing that character, and of course seeing one of the best characters. Oh, actually, as I'm looking over, he's on it's one game. Somebody actually broke the streak. That's crazy. I wonder. I missed it. I was recording a video. I wasn't looking. But yeah, Hwoarang is incredibly sick. K-Wiz, Speed Kicks, Edge, Hwoarang. Who else? There's so many like really, really strong. Well, I say there's so many. There's not that many, but it feels like a lot because I watch all of them. Yeah, even players like Super Hwoarang, Mad Dog Jin, Rest as well. Some of the lesser known. Well, Rest isn't. I wouldn't say lesser known. And Mad Dog Jin is only lesser known because he's like old school, like old head. But yeah, I watch a lot of Hwoarang gameplay because I think he's the coolest and sickest character in the game, bro. But that's just me. I know y'all don't agree, but it is what it is. Then we have Claudio, who I think he's in competition for the absolute most boring character in Tekken. He's white bread. He's drying paint. He's eggshell. Like ain't too much to say, man. He's just boring as hell. Like he just ain't got nothing cool going for him at all, in my opinion. And that's all it is about to say about that. Then we have Azucena, who I legitimately think is a pretty sick character. The problem is that you don't really get to see a whole lot of the cool stuff Azucena can do because obviously like down forward 1-4 and like while running 3-2 are such powerful tools, and that's like 80% of what makes up like her gameplay at a competitive level. But if you watch a player like Jun Ding, who was playing Azucena early on, obviously now he's focused a lot on Eddie. But his Azucena, he was doing a lot of the cool stuff, like the dashing in the heat and the mix-ups and stuff and going into the stances or whatever. Like obviously like the parries and stuff she has. Like I think aesthetically Azucena is a really cool character. I obviously liked her from the moment she got revealed. I thought she looked really cool. I played her in the beta, loved her, played her in the full game. Still really like her a lot. Obviously I've been focused on my boy Hwoarang, but I think she's actually a really cool, like really hype character. Now she's been soured a lot for people, and it's a shame that this happens, right? Because a lot of people end up disliking or not like enjoy watching really cool characters because the characters are too strong and because they get annoyed by it, which like I don't blame them. Like that can't be helped. Oftentimes that's really not how I feel about characters. Like characters that I enjoy watching isn't because that they're weak or strong, and characters that I dislike normally isn't because that they're weak or strong. Like even if we go back to Dragon Ball FighterZ, like I've always hated Z, Broly, and Vegito, and those characters were both top tier at some point. Vegito arguably still is, but I hated them since their initial release. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but at release both those characters were considered bottom tier, but I still found them very annoying. Like the characters I hate in games, they very rarely have to do with the fact that they're strong or not, and the characters I like very rarely has to do with whether they're strong or not. But Azucena I think is actually legitimately very cool. Then we have Raven, who like I thought I was gonna like Raven a lot more than I do, but I kind of think he's kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, the character's kind of lame. Like I can't put him down there with Jack and Claudio. He's at least cooler than Jack and Claudio, but it's not by very much. He's gonna get mad. He's a character that I was interested in trying out when this game came out. And I remember thinking Raven was cool like back in the day in like Tekken 5 and stuff. But I don't know what it is. The character just doesn't really appeal to me. Like aesthetically, like I like the design, and I thought he'd be really cool. You know, like it is what it is. I'm sorry. I wish I liked Raven, but I don't. I wish I liked Raven more, but I don't. Then we have Dragunov again in contention for most boring character in the entire game. If your name is not JDCR or Nobi, I don't really want to see you play this character. Okay, if your name is not JDCR or Nobi, you're not gonna get me excited about playing Dragunov. It's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Okay. Then we have the Bears, who also going boring. The only time the Bears were ever interesting to watch ever is seeing Rangchu win Tekken World Tour finals with it, just because it's like, you know, the Bears are historically like the worst character in the game, and like you don't really see them that much, but you know, he put in a lot of work and worked really hard and played really well, and it was kind of cool seeing it, and it was a testament at the time too to like the overall balance of Tekken and how like you can literally win with any character in the game, and that's why you shouldn't worry too much about strength and tiers and which character which and match up that, because if somebody's winning the Tekken World Tour final with the worst character in the game, like that speaks volumes. Now it's funny that like right after that, balance kind of went downhill and was complete disarray, and like haywire with releases of characters like you know, Hwoarang and Leroy and Lydia, and then also like the rise of Akuma, who was like always good and then we thought wasn't that good and turns out was still kind of broken, or still very broken. And yeah, you know, things kind of went downhill after that, but you know, it was a cool little thing at the time, I suppose. Then we have Leo, who like I ain't mad at Leo, but you know, I don't think Leo's nearly as boring as so many other people do. Like I'd probably put Leo above Paul. Like if I was, these aren't necessarily ordered, but if I were to put Leo in this tier, I'd probably go at the top or at the bottom of this one. But you know, Leo, not a character that you see very often. The stances are cool. I think Leo's a cool looking character, but a lot of people don't. Shaheen in contention for most boring character in the game. These four right here, like sauceless, just complete, like no sauce, no seasoning, not even an ounce of salt and pepper. Like we talking like mild beyond mild. Like we talking like gray paint. Like bro, okay. If you're somebody who plays Jack, Claudio, Shaheen, or Dragunov, and you legitimately think those characters are dope and like really, really fun, or you enjoy watching them, I gotta know why in the comments. I really have to know why, because they're boring as sin to me, bro. Like I'd rather watch any other character than those four. Like any other character. Yeah, I'm looking at the roster. I'd rather watch any other character than those four. But that's just me. Then moving on, we have Steve, who is interesting in Tekken 8. Again, 3DX playing a decent amount of him. I've seen like Low, High, or Knee play him a tiny little bit, I think, and not really seeing a lot of Steve right now. Steve's actually considered pretty weak. I'm always a fan of the boxer archetype, or most of the time, right? I've never been a big like Balrog fan, but if you think of like Steve in Tekken, or like Hit in Dragon Ball Fighters, or like Akihiko in the Persona games, or even like Ed right now in Street Fighter, like boxer characters are usually pretty sick to me, and Steve is no exception. I think he's a really cool character. I'm not really sure what my opinion, I'm not really sure what my opinion is of him right now in Tekken 8 in terms of like his strength, but I still find him pretty fun to watch. Then we have Yoshimitsu, who this character can be pretty cool. Okay, we're talking about the highest level. We're talking about the highest level, right? So if we're talking about the absolute highest level, we're talking about Kanan Trench, we're talking about iMusician, and at those levels, I think Yoshi's actually pretty sick. When we're talking about the absolute best players in the world, like, and those two come to mind, watching them play Yoshimitsu is pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hype. Other than that, he would go down here. You know what I'm saying? Because the average Yoshi player is not fun to watch or fight against, but you know, I think Yoshimitsu is pretty cool in this game. Then we have Fang. Sorry, not hype at all. Very uninteresting character. Like I've seen Kokuma's playing a lot of Fang right now. Joka obviously played a lot of Fang in 7 and is maining the character right now. I've seen Knee play Fang, and just at no point do I ever see Fang and go, oh, like it just don't be like that. It just don't be like that. All right. Then we have Alisa, who like I damn near want to put her in boring, like, but I don't know, like I put her in meh because I wouldn't necessarily say that she's a boring character, but I do find her kind of uninteresting, and it's just, you know, I don't hate Alisa. Actually, no, I do. I kind of do. She's actually one of my least favorite characters to fight in this game. I don't hate her. I hate Alisa. I'm trying to convince myself it's just cap. It's just cap. Devil Jin, hype AF. Devil Jin is hype as fuck, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, I think out of all the actually, I was gonna say out of all the Mishimas, Devil Jin might be my favorite, but I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. We just gonna skip ahead real quick. Reina's up there and hype as fuck for me. I think Reina's actually a really sick character that I really enjoy watching and playing. And at the high level, we haven't seen too many players playing Reina at the absolute highest level. I've seen a couple of appearances for her in ATL, as well as I know what's his name, Junya, I believe. He used to play Alisa, is playing Reina. I think this character is really sick. I think she's one of those characters that also, with time, as players refine their execution and their knowledge with the game and everything, we'll probably see more of her, because I think she is very strong. But yeah, I think I like Devil Jin and Reina a lot more than I like Jin and Kazuya, but I like Jin a lot as well, Kazuya too. But yeah, this is yeah, I'm saying. Then we have Lee, who like the only appeal for me with Lee is it's similar to like Nina, where it's like you never really see him and he's a really hard character, so like there's some level of appreciation there for like the execution and the difficulty of the character. But I think Lee is actually pretty corny. I don't find the character that dope at all. So yeah. Then we have Zafina, who I actually think is pretty cool. Zafina's like a lesser seen character. She's a bit weird at times, and like fighting her can be a pain because she's like crawling over the floor and like things are whiffing and stuff. But you know, I think when we're seeing, well, so again, we're talking about played at the highest level, right? So when we look at characters like Lee or like Alisa, you know, the only one that comes to mind, well, there's Obscure, there's Cuddlecore, and then that's really it I can think of. Oh no, Chanel, of course, right? But I liked watching Chanel play like Julia or Eliza more than I watched his Alisa, to be honest. And when it comes to Lee, there really weren't that many Lee players in 7. You have like I'm Your Father and Fighting GM, and that's really it. And then those same players are still playing him now. And you have like Super Kumu, who's playing Lee now. And then for Zafina, if you're thinking back to Tekken 7, well, Zafina actually got played in a very boring way. So maybe I move her down, because again, I got to remind myself that like even though I think Zafina is cool as a character, the way she gets played is traditionally very boring when you're thinking of Tekken 7. And in Tekken 8, Shadow is the only one still really playing her. And yeah, I think she got to go down, actually. I think she's got to go down. The character itself is pretty cool, but the play style necessarily isn't. So I think that's why I got to drop her down. Then we have Victor, who is unfortunate because I really like this character, or at least I did, because I think he has cool animations and like cool stuff that he can do. But the majority of the Victor gameplay I see just boils down to I'm just gonna do power crush, I'm doing down back forward. Like the scrubby way of playing Victor is kind of the optimal way of playing Victor, and that kind of sucks, because like there's other characters that you can play in a very scrubby way, like Hwoarang, like King. These characters can be played in super scrubby ways, right? June can be played in a very scrubby way, but there's alternative play styles, right? And like when you're seeing them played at the highest level, that's normally not the way that the character gets played, right? Like there's way more like nuance and context there, and like, you know, strategy and everything. I don't really feel like that's the case with Victor. Like obviously there's a big difference between like your average Fusion rank and like somebody who's competing at like a Tekken World Tour. But like you're still gonna see a lot of the same stuff where it's like down back four, I'm mashing power crush constantly, I'm in heat, let me do up 1+2, let me do up 1+2, let me do up 1+2. You know what I mean? And it's just like I think like his animations are really dope, and like I love all like the stance cancel like mix up stuff. I think that shit is really fly, and like when you're doing all that stuff, like he goes to cooler pretty sick, but that's not really a whole lot of what I see when I watch the character, and definitely not when I fight the character. So I think I gotta put him in meh. I kind of want to move him up to cool, but it's just like the majority of the Victor gameplay you see, he's not doing the cool stuff, you know? So yeah, and then we have Bryan. Bryan is absolutely one of the sickest characters actually these weren't really supposed to be ordered, but I'm low-key ordering it. Yeah, I think Bryan might be my second favorite character to watch in competitive Tekken. Jimmy J Tran, you have obviously Knee, of course, Tai, Tone, who else? Low-High as well also has a really sick Bryan that he played a lot. I enjoy seeing this character get played a ton. And it helps that two of my favorite Tekken players of all time are Jimmy J Tran and Knee, and I don't know if that's because they play Bryan or the other way around, you know what I'm saying, where it's like I like them because they play Bryan, or they play Bryan and that's why. Yeah, I don't know. But he's really cool. I think seeing Bryan play at the highest level is some of the sickest stuff. like with the taunt Oki and the taunt jet upper and stuff. Like the taunt stuff is like really sick, and to me just makes him like one of the most hype characters to watch. Seeing somebody do a taunt jet upper in bracket is nuts. Like that, I'll never not go crazy over that. And then we have Eddie. It's kind of hard to place right now. I'm gonna put him in cool for the time being, because you know, seeing Jun Ding play Eddie was always pretty interesting, but Jun Ding was really like, okay, nah, there was other players in Tekken 7, like you had a Bell de Maestro and you had Spirojin, and those players I believe are still all playing him, but he's very different right now. And I think I actually like Eddie more now than I did in 7, but I don't know if Eddie players necessarily feel the same, because he's very different. He's way more like mix-up focused and poke focused and oriented, and you know, he's taking a lot more risks and gambling a lot more, and you know, it's kind of casino dispenser, you know what I'm saying, just 50-50 after 50-50, but you know, his animations are dope. The design outside of the hair is pretty cool. You know, you swap out his hairstyle for the old one and he just looks really saucy. And you know, I actually watched Jun Ding play a little bit of Eddie, like I said, just recently in the ATL tournament, and that tournament was a bloodbath, by the way. I think Jun Ding went 1-2. Like a lot of top players went like 0-2 or 1-2 in that event. Like I know CBM was there, Knee, Jun Ding, like a lot of top guys, you know, kind of got busted up in that event. But the one match where I did see Jun Ding play, he won, and Eddie looks pretty cool. So I think that's about how we gonna organize this list. It looks pretty good to me. This video actually went on a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but hopefully you enjoyed. I spent a little bit more time yapping about characters individually than I thought I was going to. But yeah, man, that's gonna be my video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all the content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, this is pretty much off today. And remember, that can happen until you swing the bat. Later.